Hi, Stuart. It's Leisha. I have a question.
Yeah,
First of all, I'm sorry for being a few minutes late. Thank you for letting me in, and my apologies.
I don't understand. You have to speak up a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
I just first of all wanted to say apologies for being late to the class, and thank you for letting me in.
Well, you're
I was
welcome.
a few minutes late.
You know,
I'm
I used to
sorry.
have a rule when I ran a center in Manhattan. Class was at 7 o'clock. If you showed up 1 minute late, you didn't get in. It was actually a rule. Everybody showed up on time. Everybody came on time. But I can't have that rule.
Yeah,
So God bless you for coming, and I love seeing you here.
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I won't be late again, though. Um, and then my question is, when you talk about releasing tensions and say anger as an example, um, we could release them sort of into the atmosphere in general, or are you saying always to release them into the sacral chakra?
Well, there are two aspects to this. You can sit and let your arms drop to your side, sit up straight, and just say, please help me to surrender all negative psychic tension. And be sure you say negative psychic tension because everything is tension, you know? And you do that for 10 minutes. And a lot of the surface tension will just flow off the ends of your hands. It'll open you inside. It'll release at least the surface level of tension. Anger is another story. Anger is a very deep tension, psychologically, emotionally. And what I suggest with anger, to the best you can do it, is bring it into the chakra below the navel. Learn to master it. It'll listen to when you master anger, it'll listen to your command. It'll go there. And what can kill you by voicing it out into the world and bring back anger from somebody else, can give you life by taking it into that third chakra, transforming it into chi, and using the chi, to activate Kundalini. Anger is a powerful energy, and it's an energy that when we learn to master it, it becomes a friend. And you also have it less and less. Things that can take you a week to get over with, you can get over with in a few minutes when you learn how to master this. So, I suggest trying to drop surface tension. And I suggest, when you get angry, you get upset, you get depressed, all these emotions, negative emotions, try to bring them into the chakra below the navel. Now, you're not going to be able to do this 100%, but if you do it to begin with at 10%, 20%, you begin to build a system that's capable of transforming anger into a spiritual life. And eventually, what happens is you don't really get angry. I mean, everybody's human. We all get angry about something, but you can drop it and get rid of it in seconds, when you have mastered what I'm talking about. And this is a great step in developing an inner life, because anger, when you voice it in the world, it really drains you of your life. It drains you of your energy. You see two people screaming at each other, everybody is like an overripe tomato when they're finished. All the juice is gone. Life is gone. So if somebody's angry at you, don't get upset at them. They're teaching you how to stay centered in the middle of a difficult situation. So try not to be upset. Stay quiet in yourself. Try to get centered and understand, people don't do that unless they're basically unconscious people. And one has to have compassion. You have to have sense of love for them, and yet, and above everything, allow even unconscious people to be your teacher, to show you what you need to do to stay centered inside. In fact, unconscious people can be great teachers. They do so much bullshit, that can get you really upset. That if you learn how to stay centered inside while they're doing all their stuff and whatever they're doing, it's a major step in building a spiritual life. So there are two answers. You can drop tension, and at the same time, you can take depression, anger, negative emotions. You can bring them into the chakra below them, into the very core of your being, turn them into chi, transform them into an energy force that will activate Kundalini and give you a spiritual life. And learn an extraordinary lesson, how to deal with people's crap and how to deal with your own crap, without hurting somebody else. So this is not easy to do. It took me a long time to learn how to do this. I mean, when I was younger, I was the originally angry young man, I really mean it. I was angry at everybody, the entire world I was angry at, until I finally learned this. And why be angry at what is teaching you how not to be angry if you listen and learn from it and do simple little exercises that can keep you centered inside, no matter what is going on. So it's a very good question, and one that I answer all the time for people. And everybody has anger. I have anger in me. You understand? And I've been doing this a really long time. I've just managed to discipline it and know what to do with it, so it doesn't manifest in somebody's face, and I don't try to hurt somebody because of my anger, and it vanishes very quickly, goes away. Because frankly, if you'll pardon my Bronxese here, the bullshit in the world is never going to go away. Never going to go away. And to project that someday we're going to be living in some utopian world where everybody is full of love and compassion is complete naivety and innocence. It's never going to be like that. It is what it is. And whatever it is, it's our teacher. How to get more centered, how to not let all the nonsense and crap that goes on in life upset your center of balance inside, how to stay connected with spirit no matter what is going on in the world. That takes training, and it takes a lot of inner development. But once you get it, it's such a major step to not only having a spiritual life, but to live here like a human being, and to be a happy person, not to allow all the nonsense that goes on in the world to affect your inner well-being. It takes training. A big part of the meditation is getting this training. But it's a wonderful thing to learn. And I knew nothing about this until I met my teacher, Rudy, and taught me about this. He used to get me angry all the time. He would do it deliberately just to show me, Stuart, you have to grow. He would point out people, look how much they're growing and what a schmuck you are. He would tell me this all the time. And part of me would go, ooh, and then I would say, no, Stuart, just get centered. He's teaching you something about yourself. He's teaching you something about yourself. And you have the capacity to learn how not to let anger, depression, all that stuff interfere with your spiritual growth or anybody else in the world. They interfere with. I mean, the wonderful thing about Rudy, he knew how to push my buttons, but he did it with love, you know. He did it because he wanted me to grow. That's why he pushed my buttons. He wanted me to grow. He wanted me to mature and get past having these buttons pushed. And eventually it happened. I grew to where I learned how to deal with all that stuff. So it doesn't interfere with my growth every day. Does anyone else have a question would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes, Tonya.
so following up on Alicia's good question, does the same apply to fear?
Yes. Yes, anger, fear, depression, all these emotions that are negative. It applies to every single one of them. When I was a kid, I was so, I used to hang out with Rudy a lot. And I had a lot of jealousy in me about people, and he was everybody's teacher, and I had to learn how to get free, and I learned how to get free of jealousy. I brought it down to the chakra below the navel, and I transformed it into chi. And I kept doing this over and over again. It was part of my immaturity. You know, I was afraid. As a kid, I was always afraid what the future was going to bring, what's going to happen to my life. Blah, 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 chabda, chabda. Finally, I learned how to live in the moment and didn't give a damn about the future. What is the future? It doesn't exist. One day I'll experience the future. Right now, I have to live with me in this moment. All of that came about because I could bring the fear, the anger, the jealousy, the insecurity into the chakra below the navel, transform it into chi, build a system that was strong enough to use the chi to activate Kundalini, and really saw how that worked in myself and that it was giving me a spiritual life. And not only a spiritual life, it made me possible to live in this stupid world without getting upset about what goes on here with myself, with other people, with the nonsense, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all the nonsense that goes on here. And yes, it has to do with fear, it has to do with jealousy, it has to do with anger, depression, it has to do with, it doesn't have to do with love and joy and compassion and, and attaining the highest levels of what it means to be. You don't have to turn that into chi. You just have to have gratitude to God for the incredible life that was given to you. I hope this is clear, because this stuff is really important. Forget about a spiritual life, just so that we can function. We can be happy people. We're born here to be happy people. I'm born here to be depressed and miserable all the time, to be afraid, we're born here to be happy. How can you be happy if there's no balance inside, if your mind is wandering and, wandering, and you got to have that grounding inside, that chi, that power, to be able to transform whatever happens to you in life into a spiritual life. And that's the first step towards having a spiritual life. The first thing is becoming human. Love, compassion, joy, forgiveness is a big one. Forgiving oneself, forgiving other people for indiscretions, for making mistakes. And it's a very big one. Mastering that, we really begin to live on the highest levels of what it means to be a human being. Forget about a spiritual, just a human being. And then it gets down to another thing. You got to do what you have to do in order to learn this, just learn this because Stuart is giving a lecture about it. It takes the action, what you do, how you invest your time, your energy to learn how to do this. This is something that is learned. It's not something that, basically we're born with it. Kids are innocent and sweet, and newborn babies are like, children of God that come into the world. And then it gets lost somewhere. And then it's again about paradise regained. We come from paradise and we have to regain paradise. And I always thought, what is the Messiah? The Messiah is us having a spiritual life. That's the Messiah. Us growing enough inside ourselves to be connected with God, then having a spiritual life, being reborn, resurrected inside ourselves. But that can't happen unless we learn to function here like human beings. And that is where the investment of time, energy, consciousness, learning the craft of inner work, what you have to do to learn it. Does anyone else have a question? Very good questions. Does anyone else have a question? Okay. Today's a holiday in the United States. Everybody have a happy holiday today and tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you for being here, for being in my life. I say this all the time, and I profoundly mean it. You all are my teacher. You all, by being here and doing this work, forced me to grow very deeply in myself. And I just have an infinite amount of gratitude for it. So God bless you all. And there will be a class on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Welcome.